okay? So picture this. It's a huge, juicy burger with different layers, okay? The top layer's got the music, and right in there where you'd have your mayo or your ketchup or something else, that's where we've got, you know, the timeline. It's buzzing, it's nice and saucy. And then where you'd got your meat, the big chicken or the beef, that's where we've got the record rumble, the trend mill. You squeeze it all together.
All right, I have the lady herself with me in studio. Monique, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Yay, thank you for inviting me.
Before we even get into anything, what made you really think about that burger? Because I know in studio, you've been there a few hours, you're definitely thinking about food at some point.
Yes, at some point. However, I think my nature and style of broadcast is very imaginative, and I create illusions, and I'm such a storyteller. So I think it was one of those random links, you know, when you're doing links between songs.
Yeah.
I just literally just get stuff out of nowhere, and I don't even know how my producer got that, but yeah.
So it just starts flowing?
It flows.
Okay.
It has to flow.
So it's amazing because right now you're doing the Drive show on Spice FM.
Yes.
We've seen you, you know, your career's evolved so much from singing to radio, TV, and now this is where you are at. You know, what made you say initially, this is where I want to be, this is the space that's calling to me, and what really triggered that realization for you?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. You look amazing. You sound great.
You too.
It's great to watch you. Well, I must say everything has been just about choices and opportunities and being in the right place at the right time. I started off as a shy kid. I come from a huge family, and to be honest, I'm very pleased at how things have turned out, because I was never always that confident or even pictured myself in broadcast, to be honest. So when I started out, I mean, I was a music lover, I always have been, surrounded by music, but to be a radio DJ or host or presenter, whatever you'd like to call it, or to be on TV actually just came out of standing on the faith of people before me, seeing these things in me, seeing potential in me and giving me the opportunity. So I made a choice to take a leap of faith, and here we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have to ask, you know, what's your favorite decade in music? Because there's so much debate around this. Some people say, you know, after the 2000s, things just went downhill. There's nothing like a good 90s song.
Yeah.
Some people are very old school oriented. What's your favorite decade?
Well, generally a good song is a good song. I mean, if you listen to Spice FM, you just know the selection is out of this world. But I think I am drawn to the 70s and the 90s, and some hand-picked selections from the 2000s. 80s, I do have some songs that I like, but if I have to answer your question, like, it would be 70s and 90s, from Teddy Pendergrass to SWV. I mean, I just like a good, well-written, produced song that stands the test of time. So that's what our station is all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, away from your work life and what's happening there right now, you did mention you grew up in a big family.
Huge.
So, you know, when you told me how many siblings you have, I was in shock.
Yes.
You said you had 30 siblings.
Yes.
That's incredible. And how do you stand out among 29 other people? Like, what's the dynamic like?
You don't really have a choice. You just have to come home with a bigger story than your other sibling. However, we had what I'd say a relatively close relationship. I mean, all of us are very gifted, very talented. So I think we always understood and how we were raised. Our dad, our late dad did a great job, our close relatives around us. And we raised each other knowing that you compete with yourself. And I think we grew up without entitlement. We grew up knowing that you're as good as your last gig, as your last big story after school. So we had from handwriting competitions to singing competitions within that setup. And I think it created a culture of, you don't really have to stand out for people to give you that acknowledgement. You just have to keep growing as an individual and compete with yourself. So I think that's the best way to describe it, but it was a good ride. It was a good time growing up. Yeah.
That's amazing. I can imagine. You know, there's just so much going on. It would be really a lot of fun, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
But talking about starting your own family, of course, you're married. You have a 1-year-old, 1 and 3 months. She's now.
Yes.
And a 4-year-old as well.
Yes.
So, you know, women these days were expected to be the mother, be the career woman, be the best wife you can be. Of course, you have so many responsibilities, so many hats that you're wearing simultaneously. So
Yeah.
how do you balance all of these? How do you juggle all these roles and responsibilities for you?
I think until you start to speak on it, that's when you realize, wow, I'm doing this. I really never like to speak from a place of I'm on a higher level, so to speak. I think balance is a process, and I'm still learning how to do that. I think as much as we're raising kids, I say this all the time, they're raising us. So just to see how they grow, my children, and of course the support from my husband, it's encouraged me to realize that how they've turned out, it means that I'm doing something right. My first is Aiko. Aiko is, she's 4 going on 17. She acts like a really grown lady.
Yeah.
She's like my best friend right now. And of course, my second is Zara. Zara is 1 and 3 months. So I feel that balance is not something as women we should, look at it as it's just going to happen just like that. No, you have to be aware, self-aware of the process, and of course the choices that you've made. I think the big word today is choice. You just have to choose what you love, and if you decide to take a certain path, if you choose that you want to be a mother, if you choose that you want to be a career woman, once you have that choice and you have a better understanding of yourself, and there's passion for these things, because I know there's some women thinking, what did I do? Why did I? No, you can't have that. Once you have that understanding and you've got a good support system, I kid you not, you will never have a day of regret. Things just work themselves out. Where there's passion, there's room. Where there's passion, there's room. And somehow, here we are. We're just waiting for the next birthdays and career, progress in that sphere as well. And as a wife, I do the best that I can. So I really wouldn't want to speak on it as there's a recipe, or this is the secret ingredient of doing it as a woman. But also as women, we should not look at ourselves as, can we actually do it? If we want to take over spaces that have been previously dominated by men, you can't get into a space thinking, I'm a woman, so I need, to be treated differently. No, you walk in knowing, I can do this. So right now, I've switched it off. I'm Monique, but the radio host. I'm here focusing on this interview, focusing on you, and focusing on the fact that I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing. And when I get home, you will not recognize me. I am somebody else. So we just really naturally have that innate ability to switch it on. I don't know, shout out to the men. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but I know as women, we are capable of doing that.
And a lot of people bring up so many issues surrounding motherhood, whether or not that's, snapback.
Yes.
We've got that snapback culture where, oh, you've just given birth. Okay, how long is it going to take you to lose the weight, to, get back to size, a very small size, and lose the extra pounds that you gained. And it puts a lot of pressure, I believe, on young mothers.
Absolutely. I think generally as women, we come from a society where we're judged by face value first before what we can do. I mean, Malika, there's so many things about you before your appearance. You're a beautiful woman, but I think you would love to be known more as what you bring to the table than how attractive you are. So I came up with a phrase where if you come up to me with anything to make me feel inadequate or insecure, it's more about, I'm sorry that I don't excite you anymore, but I'm in a very beautiful place where I have had the blessing of having children and understanding that. And it goes back to self-awareness. I think when you're younger, you care that much to a point where people are doing damaging things, and we are pushing a very dangerous narrative to tell women that it's more important to do God knows what to get back in shape. A lot of the celebrities that we're seeing on social media, where there's access to all their profiles and their lives and what they do, they don't tell you that they've got 6 chefs, they're dieting night and day, they've got literally 5 nannies to take care of that. But I think it goes back to, what's my journey about? I survived a procedure. I just literally, my baby's this age,
There's so many details that you wouldn't know.
So many details that we overlook, and to take it to a superficial level, I feel like it's a conversation that, of course, has to be had by women who have actually gone through the process.
Yeah.
There's so many things you survive after maternity leave, even just getting your mind together. We don't talk about postpartum depression enough. We don't talk about self-confidence or lack of self-confidence. We don't talk about knowing that, okay, you don't have a social life anymore, and how these things can affect who you become.
Yeah.
So if you get into that space without self-awareness, literally any comment would put you down.
Would throw you off.
It
yeah.
would throw you off. However, I think we need to be kind, especially women, need to be kinder to women.
To one another.
And we need to be probably more switched on and give each other permission and give yourself permission to go through what you go through. A little thickness is all right.
Yeah,
A little.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So something interesting that you always post with your social media,
Yeah.
photos and all that is the hashtag East African Girl, which I really like. And of course, your roots are Ugandan as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about, what spurred that hashtag? What does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, we must agree that we shall integrate 100% from every aspect of it. That brings good news. It makes me feel like, Africa is going places. So I'm very passionate about a conversation around Africa and how one day the big dream of having us as one big country, I mean, that's what we truly are, essentially, is what drives me to always have that hashtag in your face. But East African Girl means I'm a product of the region. My parents are East African, and I'm here living and working, and Kenya has been my home for many years. I mean, I'm in love with this country. I just think it's just a statement of pride, and I'm very, very proud to be East African. So in everything that I do, I mean, I start off with that, but I don't like to narrow it down to tribe or nationality. I mean, nowadays you'll find a lot of Kenyans don't want to be branded as I'm from this tribe and that tribe. I really don't like to be branded as, are you Kenyan or you're South African or you're Rwandese or you're this.
Yeah.
For me, it's a conversation of being Pan-African and Cosmo,
Okay.
and Kenya is that place. Kenya is the heat of it all.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break,
Yeah.
but we will be back. We've got more news for you, and of course, we're going to have Monique reading a story for us as well as our guest anchor. So stay with us. We'll be back